I want you to change the world, and don't think that this is going to happen peacefully or you can do it alone. We need to kill the rich. You get out there, you use your weapons, and you rip Washington apart. You hunt down the billionaires, the bank bosses, the CEOs, the scumbags and the liars, the governors, the lobbyists, the senators, because they're all the same, and you hang them.
Good morning, everyone. It's April 29th, 2018. I'm Eric. I'm here at activistpost.com. Did you know that the U.S. taxpayer is the second largest funder of the UN Arms Trade Treaty? Most people don't, but this is the case. We get back to the main article here. This comes from Catherine Frompovich. So recently she received an email from Senator Rand Paul regarding an issue that is near and dear to the hearts of many Americans. It stated that U.S. taxpayer is the second largest direct financial funder of the UN's global gun ban. Global gun ban. She asked, did you know that? Of course, most people don't know this, and such information is one of the reasons I've been saying for umpteen years, get the U.S. out of the UN and the UN out of the U.S. Ever since I can remember, having gained some political sense of savvy many years ago, I truly feel the UN is a one-world government oligarchy. In this case, the entire world population, whose agenda is total global control over every aspect of every person's and humankind's overall life, living, sovereignty, freedoms, and technological advances to promote what has been revealed as the UN's overarching agenda, i.e. Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, with total subservience from every nation state and its population. And remember, people, we have many UN peacekeepers, if you want to call them that, soldiers, living here in the United States on our soil, waiting for the order to come down. And I've covered the United Nations, ad nauseum, and by the way, they hired for quite a long time people, or hired for positions rather, for gun confiscation. So anyone who thinks that they're not sitting in the background waiting for their moment, they are waiting, and their moment will come. So, did I miss something here? Okay, Adolf Hitler was striving for that control, and his grand scheme literally was shot down. But somehow it has resurfaced as the ultimate way to go into, or in making humankind subservient to technology and a one-world oligarchy. That, in my opinion, encompasses much of what communism, sometimes referred to as socialism, and perceived new direction of the U.S. is taking, entails with new attractions, i.e. technology, but without the recognizable trappings displayed by the men and despots who forced it upon their countries, i.e. Russia, 1917, then its subservient Soviet Union devouring Eastern Europe and other countries to form the USSR, Mao Zedong in China, 1949, Fidel Castro, 1959, North Korea's Kim family, 1948, Laos, 1975, Hugo Chavez in 1997. I didn't know he was that recent. I thought he was went far back a little further than that. Researcher and activist Deborah Tavares of StopTheCrime.net discusses both UN Agenda 21 and 2030 plus other aspects in this interview. And I've covered some of her stuff as well. So why the apparent lecture about communism, i.e. socialism? The reason is because socialism is the system where Big Brother government takes care of human needs in exchange for total control over human lives. Now, to include their brains and minds and artificial intelligence and other mind control techniques like voice of God, microwave technology. Socialism, communism, is defined by one online dictionary as leftism, welfarism, and in Marxist theory, a transitional social state between the overthrow of capitalism and the realization of communism. So, we're in between these, we're in this transitional period where our way of life is being overthrown and the realization of communism is coming about. The Huffington Post published the article, "This is Why Millennials Favor Socialism," in which this statement appears. Socialism or communism are viewed by millennials as an alternative to the disasters capitalism has created. Let me stop right there for a minute. Now, if we actually had a free market and agencies or cartels like the Federal Reserve didn't interfere in the market, and the government didn't interfere in the market, they just let the market do what the market does, we wouldn't have the disastrous outcomes that we've had in capitalism. It's called crony capitalism, and it's rigged to favor the super rich. A cautionary word to millennials. And part of the problem is that there are teachers in these fucking schools glamorizing such ideology. And they do everything they can to smear actual true free market and promote communist ideologies. If you haven't studied history nor taken the time to read the factual aspects of what happened to other countries where communism or socialism was forced upon them, you are in the Dark Ages and in for a huge plus very rude awakening from which you will not be able to extract yourselves and your lives. All your technological devices probably will be taken from you as they will be, or as they will have served their purpose for reprogramming your thinking into the one world agenda regime from psychopathic controllers who want to maintain the world population at 1/2 million in perpetuity, how many of you will have to be offed? Furthermore, you probably will be mandated to live in a 200 square foot room. Smart city apartments, which are being built in countries like China, and all the freedoms you seemingly enjoy will vanish, leaving you totally helpless, poor babies. Or how about this? Here's where Senator Paul's email comes in. Dr. Paul says, if fully implemented, the United States, our Second Amendment would be put on life support, and it will take years to undo the damage. I think the Second Amendment's probably already on life support. He's referring to the inability of U.S. citizens having the right to defend themselves, which I think many people have a misunderstanding about. First and foremost, I am anti-violence in any form, including corporate abuses. Now let me stop right there. First and foremost, I am not anti-violence. I am pro-violence. Now, I'm not saying that people should be out there committing acts of senseless violence, but I'm not anti-violence, and the reason is sometimes violence is the only recourse you have, and I think in our case, violence will ultimately be the only recourse we have. Not just us, but the British people, any one of those European countries that's been overrun by immigrants that are hostile to the way of life the Europeans have enjoyed. Okay? For starters, guns don't shoot by themselves very often, if at all. Now, on my old channel, I put my AR-15 up on its legs and stood in front of it, and I demanded it, screamed at it to shoot me, and it just wouldn't cooperate. It would not shoot me for some fucking reason. Perhaps it's because there was no person behind it to squeeze the trigger. I think that's probably the reason why my AR-15 didn't shoot me. People shoot guns, and U.S. people have been programmed to accept violence using weapons like guns, knives, and other killing tools from the form of entertainment. A few generations have grown up watching, enjoying, believing, and apparently duplicating destroy others without any empathy for what is being done. So now everyone wants to ban guns, but don't realize that eviscerating the Second Amendment to the Constitution means that all those other incredible amendments to the U.S. Constitution then can become targets for rescinding under socialism. Ever think of that? And that's why I oppose doing away with gun rights. Below is a petition by the National Association for Gun Rights, which Senator Rand Paul forwarded in his email. If you're interested in knowing more about it, click on the link below. You still have that right to make a choice as the U.S. for all intents and purposes, is still, or is a democratic constitutional republic. Those two things just don't fucking mix. Republic and Democrat. Or democratic. The fact that we vote makes the form of government a theoretical democracy, which is being ripped out from under us, and few recognize that sad fact. Let's ban cars, vans, and pickup trucks. And it wouldn't be far behind a gun ban, by the way, for them to do things like that. Which is really the whole point of the gun ban. They don't want us owning automobiles. They want us taking public transportation. Now here's another issue for millennials and others to factor into their thinking. If guns are to be banned or restricted in some manner, shouldn't automobiles, vans, pickup trucks also be banned? Horrors, I hear being gasped. What is she thinking? Well, those beloved four-wheeled toys are being used as tools of mass destruction by crazies and terrorists who run down pedestrians and city dwellers in outdoor cafes in Europe and the US. Just read the daily news. So let's keep the same criteria in place for vehicles as those who want to ban guns banned. Or, I fucked that one up. So let's keep the same criteria in place for vehicles as those who want guns banned. There we go. Both guns and vehicles do not shoot nor drive themselves yet. They must be activated by humans who apparently reflect a default in societal ethics due to long-established acculturation of violence as entertainment. Until society in general understands that we need to get back to the basics of empathy, compassion, and understanding, and that we are being manipulated to accommodate an ultimate goal of takeover by apparently paranoid control freaks at a global level, all this kind of social paranoia and terror will continue as part of an agenda. And if you want change, the change starts with you. The UN really does need to be destroyed. It needs to be torn apart, just like the system here in the United States. It needs to be ripped apart and rebuilt to something much, much different. Hope everyone has a great day. Kill the state before the state kills you.